This is the story of the 1617, the new Mercedes 16-tonner as seen through the eyes of motoring writer Tom Leake. Now, although Tom's great hobby is car rallying, he has a special interest in commercial vehicles. 4 years ago, he took the trouble to get his Class 1 HGV licence, and nowadays he takes every opportunity he possibly can to test and drive new models like this.
And I think this is the shape of commercial vehicles to come, the friendly face of the new generation of Mercedes 1617 trucks. The cab itself has been aerodynamically styled to promote not only low drag, less wind resistance, promoting fuel economy, but also they have included at either corner of the cab two vents which allow the flow of air past the side of the vehicle and thus keeping the large mirrors and the side windows clear of road dirt. Now, for daily checks and maintenance, Mercedes have included some clever and useful ideas. First, we have opening panel across the front, which allows him to look at his dipsticks for oil, and there's the oil filler there, the power steering reservoir, and there is a dipstick there also, windscreen washer reservoir, and behind the small panel above is the hydraulic fluid reservoir for the master cylinder for the clutch. Also, moving down, we have headlamps which are hinged for ease of maintenance. You don't have to then go through the business of taking the headlamp out completely. Now, for more major items of maintenance, the Mercedes new generation cab is hydraulically tilted to an angle of 65 degrees, which is in itself its own safety measure and allows the cab to remain tilted and no chance of it dropping back. Tilting of the cab, as you can see, gives excellent accessibility to the engine and gearbox. The engine is the turbocharged version of the OM352 six-cylinder 5.7 litre diesel direct injection. You may ask, why have Mercedes gone for turbocharging? Well, this does give a bonus of power at very low extra cost. Here's the turbocharger, which Mercedes-Benz tell me will last at least the life of the engine, could be at anything up to 250,000 miles. The turbocharger itself requires no attention. It is lubricated and cooled by the engine oil. An important factor with a cab of this design is that noise levels should be kept as low as possible, and Mercedes have been, I think, particularly clever in this respect, in that the gear lever is a telescopic shaft. That allows them to seal the gear lever extension itself in the floor of the cab so that they don't have any aperture for noise from the engine to come through. As you can see, there is effective sound damping under the cab. It is sprayed with sound dampening here, and there are fitted panels which I understand do give unusually low noise levels in the cab, which is of course what we shall find out shortly on the road. The gearbox, 8-speed range change mounted in line with the engine, low down in the chassis, a Mercedes first in this particular application. Interesting to note the hydraulic damper mounting of the cab itself, the suspension, which allows the driver and occupants of the cab to be effectively insulated from road shock and vibrations. Continuing down the vehicle, we have the deep side members of the ladder-type chassis, rugged and very strong. The drive is through hub reduction gear, which allows not only a good ground clearance, but also is known for its reliability and long life in service. Continuing round the vehicle, it's interesting to note that this is on the 205-inch wheelbase, which by clever engineering allows the operator a 24-foot load space length. which will be good news for many operators, I think. Moving along the offside of the 1617, we have the 44-gallon fuel tank, which, by my reckoning, should give a good 500-mile operating range. Again, good news for many operators, I think. We come now to the important part, the cab and what it's like inside. I'm now going to enter the cab, noting that the steps in are slightly inset into the cab side and allowing ease of entry. As you can see, the Mercedes seat has been designed so that it can be moved in any of 4 planes. We have rotary adjustment for tilt of the front and the back of the cushion, for tilting the squab of the seat, and a generous fore and aft adjustment. This takes account of the vast range of sizes of driver, and this of course is good news for tall drivers such as myself, up to 6'2.5" tall, and allowing me also plenty of room, as you will see the fact that there is plenty of space over my head. This is the standard 2-seat cab. The seats are upholstered in cloth, which is easily cleanable, and of course provides comfort in hot and cold climates, and allows the driver to have fatigue-free long periods at the wheel. There is also the option of a 3rd seat in the centre. The passenger seat, incidentally, is also adjustable for fore and aft movement. We now go to the other items in the cab. We have in the roof this ventilator, splendid for the really hot weather conditions that no doubt some operators will be using these vehicles in. It can be tilted at the back or at the front, or both. Then above the brow of the screen we have in front of the passenger a document cubby hole, and to the right here are the warning buzzers for low air pressure in the brake system, which I'll come to later. Again, in the bright sunlight, wall-to-wall sun visors. And there. We have 4 demisters for the screen itself, and so to the instrument panel, that most important feature for the driver. The large dials, the tachograph and speedometer on the left, rev counter in the centre, and other gauges on the right, have their glasses slightly matte to avoid reflections. Above are the necessary warning lights for various functions. Moving across the fascia, we have in the centre, towards the bottom, document locker, and above it, comprehensive ashtray, easily reached by both the passenger and driver. Fresh air vents directional underneath, and to the left, the controls for heating and demisting. Right over to the left, and this shows the expanse of the cab itself. There we have the fuses all conveniently laid out, with above them the legend as to their functions. And so to the gear lever for the 8-speed range change gearbox. There's the change. A handy to the driver, well placed I think, and beside it again, for ease of action, the parking brake, which is spring operated. The steering wheel is large, 20 inches diameter, and allows me, I think, what will be a very comfortable steering control of this vehicle. To the right, the single multi-purpose stalk for wipers, turn signals, horn, and dip of the headlamps. There's a big difference in driving a long wheelbase vehicle like this, 205 inches between the wheels, and for me, more often a car driver than a commercial vehicle driver, is the remarkable manoeuvrability that I'm finding immediately we set off in the 1617 Mercedes. Coupled with that is the excellent low-speed torque of this turbocharged engine, and as we find later, the good climbing ability, grade ability as the experts call it, and this vehicle is claimed to be able to climb a 1 in 4 gradient with ease. On the road, the first thing that impresses me is the ease of handling and the good all-round visibility. Taking the visibility first, well-placed mirrors with a very good view astern down both sides of the vehicle. The turbocharger is operating. It cuts in at about 1200 RPM, but you literally cannot hear it. The use of the turbocharger provides a considerable power bonus for Mercedes with the OM352 engine, in that with 168 rated brake horsepower, you have in fact well in excess of 10 brake horsepower per ton laden. We certainly wouldn't feel that the vehicle is laden to its full 16-ton capacity. So easily does it take gradients. We're now coming off the motorway and we'll be descending to an island. Such a useful adjunct is the exhaust brake, which I operate with my left heel. This steadies the vehicle on descents and allows the brakes to be kept for more positive use and of course for emergency. The gear change is slick and easy. We've now range changed into the upper range through to 5th. I haven't said anything so far about the suspension and stability. This is marked, really marked, in the ease with which it maintains a steady angle as we accelerate round this comparatively tight curve. The suspension is long leaf springs at each end. There are helpers, of course, at the rear leafs, and telescopic shock absorbers also all round. The angle of lean is also maintained by sturdy anti-roll bars on each axle, and it really is impressive that one does have this steady surge round a corner, and again coming onto the opposite lock, the vehicle is extremely stable. Mercedes-Benz, with the 1617, have entered this 16-ton market that has hitherto been the preserve of possibly vehicles of a lower cost, but with higher running costs. Mercedes think that their winning margin in this expanding market will be by virtue of the increased durability of the vehicle and lower downtime and vehicle off the road. Coupled with that comes the attention to driver comfort and safety, and here I would certainly say that not only are the operators going to save on vehicle downtime, but they are also going to save on driver performance, and they should gain thereby a continued high level of vehicle usage with the driver having the best machinery around him, and certainly an excellent environment. I could certainly live in this cab all day long.
So there we are, an independent assessment of Mercedes' new contender in the British 16-ton market.